Guys, welcome back to another vlog. I'm currently 4 days away from the start of my summer shredding diet. I'm going to be doing a photo shoot at the end of it, so it's going to be pretty full on. But in this video, I want to show you how to prepare yourself for the start of a diet. Instead of just going head on into a diet, you should probably start to make some plans and just kind of set yourself up for success. So in this video, I'm going to take you through how you set up your calorie targets, how you might track them, how you set up your protein targets, how you set up how many steps you should be having in a day, how you plan for your cardio, how you plan for your workouts, how you plan what foods you want to be basing your diet around, and what kind of foods work best for adhering to a diet, and how generally you should structure the whole process. So sit back, enjoy the vlog. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Please give me a thumbs up. It will really help my channel grow. Welcome to the first episode of Summer Shredding. So the first thing we have to determine and set is our calorie intake. It's arguably the most important thing to assign before you start a diet. I'm going to show you my calorie target now just to give you an idea of what I'm doing. So I'm aiming for 1900 to 2000 calories per day on average. Remember, this is an average. It doesn't have to be exact every day. It just needs to average out throughout the week. So that's important because if you go over in a certain day, you can compensate by going under on other days. So once you're within the average roughly, I recommend losing at 0.5 to 1% of your body weight a week. Okay, so I'm aiming closer to 1%. Just because I'm on a time scale and my photo shoot is in 10 weeks, 11 weeks, I have to make sure that I'm a little bit more aggressive because I need to get quite lean within that 11 weeks. So I do need to hit the ground running. You don't have to be as aggressive. You could stay closer to about 0.5 to 0.7. Generally for my clients, I'll keep them around 0.6 to 0.7 because I think that's a nice sustainable rate of loss per week. So if your weight is going down on average at that rate per week, then you know you're in the ballpark in terms of calories. If your weight isn't moving at all, or if it's going down a lot slower than that, you might have to rejig a few things or make sure that you're tracking your calories appropriately. The easiest way for you to determine your calories is to use the Harrison Benedict formula. So you can just Google that and they'll give you the calculator online. You just input your data and it'll give you a number. Remember that number is a starting point. You may have to adjust either way depending on how your weight's going, but at least it gets you in the ballpark, and that's what's really, really important. So now that you have your calorie target, what you want to do is try to start tracking it. So you can either track it manually, like I used to do before, where you actually just write down everything you eat and track the calories on a piece of paper over the week. Or you could use the easier method of just using MyFitnessPal. Download the MyFitnessPal app, you can put in your data, put in your calorie targets into it, and you can start tracking your calories. The app is very, very handy because it has a huge database, so you can either search for the food or else you can actually scan the barcode, which makes the whole process way easier. Whatever way you're doing it, try to learn how to track calories appropriately. Remember, you have to track everything. You can't just track things you want to track. You have to account for oils you're putting into your food, you have to account for sauces, you have to account for liquid calories, milk in your tea, sugar in your tea. All these things add up, and if you don't include them, calorie estimations are going to be way off, and it's going to make the process a lot harder than it otherwise might be. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about your protein intake. Protein is the most important macronutrient, especially when we're talking about body composition. I'm going to be aiming for roughly about 180 to 190 grams of protein per day. Now, this is quite high. I like to have a higher protein intake just because it keeps me fuller, but also there's a greater chance of me holding onto my muscle as I diet down. As a general rule, you want to have 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now this is quite high, and remember, this isn't for health. You can get away with a lot lower for health reasons, but in terms of trying to change your physique and trying to change your body composition, a higher protein intake is just going to make everything easier because you'll have a better chance of maintaining your muscle, and also the diet will be easier because protein is more filling than the other macronutrients. If you really want to optimize your results and get the best out of it, I would recommend getting roughly 20 to 30 grams of protein every 3 to 4 hours. This is just so that you have a constant influx of protein coming into the system, so you're not at a risk of losing muscle mass, especially when you're in a diet and the risk of muscle mass is just that much higher. Honestly, if you're a beginner, I wouldn't worry too much about this. Just aim to hit your total daily targets of protein and you should be fine. But if you are someone who has built a lot of muscle in the past and you're trying to hold on to it, you may be better off trying to spread out your protein throughout the day. What about carbs and fats? Are they important? I would say with carbs and fats, this more so comes down to preference once you've hit the minimum. So you have to hit a minimum amount of fat per day just for health, but that is achieved pretty easily. What I like to do is I like to keep the fat a little bit lower and the carbohydrates a little bit higher, just because carbohydrates fuel performance, which means your gym sessions will be that little bit better. Also, it's just a little bit harder to sustain a calorie deficit in a high fat diet because the foods you're eating are just very calorie dense. If you can go for some low fat options, I do think it'll make the whole dieting process easier, just because you will feel fuller throughout and it'll be easier to sustain. So guys, here are my current progress pictures. So as you can see, I've put on a lot of body fat. Definitely, if you see the comparison between when I was a lot leaner early in the year to now, I put on a lot of body fat, but I've also gained a lot of muscle. So this is my starting point. I would always encourage people to take pictures before they start any diet. That's the biggest regret I always see with my clients, is after they're about 3 or 4 weeks in and they actually feel like they've made progress, but they have no pictures to kind of back it up. Having pictures is a great way just to track your progress along and just make sure that you're going in the right direction. Using this in conjunction with weight on the scales, averages over time, and just generally how you're feeling in clothes is a great way to see how you're progressing. I will be showing you progress pictures in each vlog from now until my photo shoot in the same position each week, just so that you can see how I'm progressing through my journey. When you're taking progress pictures, try to take them in similar situations each time, just so that you can have a true comparison to your previous progress. I gotta be honest, I'm absolutely buzzing to get leaner. It was a great journey gaining the weight, but now I'm looking forward to just peeling back the layers and seeing how much muscle I have actually gained in the process. Okay, so next up we gotta decide on some steps and cardio targets. As a general rule, I would say steps are probably more important than cardio. Reason being, you can burn a lot of calories throughout the day by just getting your step count up. It's a lot easier and a lot more sustainable to do. Whereas with cardio, if you're forcing yourself to do cardio you don't like, first of all, mentally it's hard to do it, but second of all, you probably end up compensating by overeating because you earned it because you did some cardio. Or else you probably just won't do as much other activity throughout the day because, again, you've done your workout for the day. I would say prioritize your steps, make sure that you set a step target and try to hit that. Try to hit it as naturally as you can. Try to hit it by going for some general walks where you just create a habit of going for a walk maybe in the morning, in the evening, now that the evening is getting brighter, and just make it part of your routine as opposed to trying to get steps for steps' sake. Think of it as a way of just getting out of the house, getting your thoughts together, maybe listen to a podcast. Just create a routine around the whole thing. Also, when you have a Fitbit on, you're always a little bit more conscious about just moving more. So it might be a small thing of just like parking further away from the shop, might be a small thing of just walking around the house doing little odd jobs, just things that will actually get you up and moving. It can be a great boost to your energy expenditure throughout the week. So for me, I'm targeting roughly to start on 7,000 to 9,000 steps a day on average. Again, it's averages. Remember, averages are king. So it doesn't have to be 7,000 to 9,000 steps every day. It just needs to average out that over the week. One day might be 15,000 because you might have went somewhere for a walk, a long walk. Another day might have been 5,000 because you just didn't get out of the house and the weather was poor. Once it averages out, that's all that matters. What I'll do is, this is my starting point. Over time, if I need to, I might try to increase it. But I would always say start a little bit lower, make it achievable so that you can start to build on it. If you set your targets too high at the start, you might get demotivated if you don't hit them and you might just end up falling off that a little bit easier. In terms of cardio, I'm not saying not to do cardio. Cardio can be great, but cardio can be anything. And this is really, really important. People think there's special types of cardio out there. There is no special type of cardio. Cardio is literally just a way of getting your heart rate up and burning extra calories per minute of work. Do something you enjoy. For me, I'll just be playing soccer 2 to 3 times a week. I really, really enjoy it. It doesn't feel like cardio to me, so it's just a great outlet. I would encourage you to find something you enjoy and don't think you have to do the standard things of running on a treadmill or cycling. Like, do whatever you like. Them things are great if you enjoy them, but try to find something that's enjoyable. And it's just easier for you to consistently do it each week. Okay guys, before I go into the last topic of the day, which is going to be the training, I'm just going to show you a couple of the foods that you should probably build your diet around. Now, you don't have to overhaul your diet and you don't have to cut out everything you like. Okay, I think it's important to keep in some of the stuff you like just so you don't feel restricted, but it is important to build your diet around wholesome foods that are filling you and that are nourishing you, and also foods that you like, obviously. So I would say some of the go-to foods are pretty obvious, but when you're in a calorie deficit, hunger is your biggest enemy. If you can choose foods that keep you full while still being enjoyable, then that is the key to success in any diet. Okay, so the first ones are pretty obvious, guys. Fruit and veg. Build most of your diet around fruit and veg. These are going to be the foods that are going to fill you the most with the lowest amount of calories per serving. Okay, so they're going to be nourishing, they're going to be filling, and they're obviously going to be able to bulk up your diet so that you're feeling full. It might be a meal you like, but it's not that filling, so you might have to decrease the serving size in order to fit it into your calories, what you can do is still have that meal, but just make sure you bulk it up with vegetable on the side. So it might be just a case of, even if you don't like your green vegetables and stuff, just add the vegetable and maybe add a drizzle of sauce just to make them that little bit more appetizing and just fit them in that way. The volume within vegetables, a lot of water inside it, is just going to keep you fuller for longer. So it can be understated how important it is to fit vegetables in, and fruit as well. Things like berries are a great option because they're just really low in calories and again very okay. Next up are our lean protein sources. These may seem obvious, but are really important to know before you go into a diet. You got things like chicken breast. So really lean. You can add spices just to make it a little bit more tasty, but again, really good, high in protein, very filling and lower in calories than most other red meat. Then you have like convenience, like chicken and convenience ham. Again, these are great because you don't have to make everything perfect. You don't have to cook everything up perfectly. If you can use these convenient foods just to stay on track, I think they'll help you a good bit. The other things then you can add in are like liquid egg whites. So you can obviously use normal eggs, but liquid egg whites are great. Without the yolk, there's no fat in it, meaning the calories are going to be less, meaning that they're going to be really high in protein and high in volume. So liquid egg whites is a nice substitute. You could maybe go one whole egg and then maybe add in some liquid egg whites depending what you're making. Last thing is just some Greek yogurt. So really high in protein, lower in fat, meaning that you're going to get a good bit of volume for the amount of calories you're using. I just got this one in Aldi. These are great because they're so versatile. You can literally just have them anytime in the day. You can add like fruit to them. You can add some, even like a small bit of cereal to them. Great option again if you're just trying to feel full. On things on the food. So what you have here is basically some convenient snacks. So when you're dieting, what you want to do is find the snacks that are going to fill you that little bit more. Of course, fit in whatever you like, fit in the stuff you like as well, but just know there are some snacks out there that are just, you're going to get more bang for your buck. So popcorn, a huge one, because you're going to get a lot of volume for new calories. In that big bag there's only like 120 calories, and there's a lot of eating in it. It'll take you a while. Compare that to like a chocolate bar. Again, nothing wrong with the chocolate bar, but you will finish chocolate bar within a couple of seconds and it just won't fill you as much. Things like lower calorie ice cream, like Halo Top, I got this one in Aldi. So you got 70 calories per stick. Again, you'll take a while to eat it and it'll just satisfy that little bit more than something that's gone in one bite. Just being smart with your snacks. Sugar-free jelly, probably my go-to dieting snack. Now, none of these are like quote unquote healthy as such, but they're great for like diet hacking. Just again, keep you fuller because in a diet, hunger is the biggest issue. So sugar-free jelly, add in some ice cream on top of it maybe, and makes it a great meal in the evening, and you get like maybe 100 to 200 calories max. And then the last thing is just like low calorie drinks. So you can go for like a Coke Zero. I like Monster because there's some caffeine in it. Again, don't go mad on these. Obviously, you don't want to be creating your diet around these, but there's no harm in adding these in as well. If most of your diet, guys, is coming from wholesome foods like I showed you before, then you'd have no problem. Like fitting these things in is no big deal. Like again, you're not seen as quote unquote healthy, but if they make the diet more sustainable, if it makes it easier, then by all means fit them in. And that goes for anything. You can fit anything into your diet if you feel like it's worth it. But if you're fitting in things that are making you hungry a lot, then you may have to rethink your strategy. Okay guys, the last thing, and that is the training side of the equation. Now some people get a bit confused about the training in the gym and how that works for fat loss. Training in the gym is not a good modality for fat loss. It's not very efficient at all. So your weight sessions in the gym, it's not about losing body fat. It's about maintaining the muscle mass you have and gaining some more muscle mass. So that's what creates your shape and that tone look people often look for. Think of your diet and your activity levels as the way of getting the fat off the body. Think of your training as a way of adding some muscle, or at least maintaining your muscle depending on how advanced you are as a lifter. For my plan, I'm going to be doing 6 sessions a week. Push, pull, legs, push, pull, legs. Oh, this seems like quite a lot, okay? And like I could get away with less if I wanted to. It's just that it suits my routine. I like going to the gym and it gets me in a better headspace. You don't want to think about how many sessions you're doing a week. You want to think about how much total volume you're doing for a week. If you're a beginner or just an early intermediate, I wouldn't even worry about it. Go to the gym, work out hard. 3 to 4 sessions a week is loads for any beginner in the gym. It'll be loads to add a small bit of muscle for a beginner, even if you're in a calorie deficit, and it'll definitely be loads to maintain your muscle, even if you're a little bit more advanced. Because I'm working out 6 times a week, it just means my sessions are going to be that little bit shorter because I don't have to do as much volume. I spent the last year building up muscle, so the last thing I want to do is lose it. So the training side of things is very, very important for me. If you're someone that hasn't done much training in the gym, it's not going to be as important, but you definitely do need to get in if you want to add some muscle to your frame. Last thing to note on training, maintenance of muscle actually takes less volume. So that's good news because you don't have to be in the gym as much, you don't have to do as much work to maintain your muscle as you did to initially gain the muscle. So guys, that is it for the first episode of the Summer Shredding series. Hope you got a lot out of it, and I hope it'll help you set up your own diet and training going forward. Stay tuned each week as I'll be updating my progress and also giving you some nice tips to sustain the diet as you go through it. Catch you in the next one.